class, we're going to go over the mini project one. So what that looks like is you can either find it in the modules or the assignments. If you're under assignments, you will see that it is linked to in this section here. So both of this link and the other link under modules will take you to the same place. So if we were to click on this, it will take us to this module for mini project one. And again, if we were home and clicked on modules, we would find the mini project one right here. What mini project one is going to be about is it's really about creating content for a web page, and it's only one web page at this point. The brief is right here, so you can read all of the details and the requirements. This will be an example of what we work into our project one. So you want to choose a topic that you'll write SEO optimized content for, and you'll do long tail keyword research for that topic. We're going to use Moz to do that research, and you can use Moz and search for keywords 3 times a day without logging in. So this is where we actually enter our keyword to research. Remember, we want to keep this a long tail keyword and not something short. So when we are choosing our topic, make sure that your long tail keyword is 3 to 5 words at least that you're entering in here. We will write our title page and our meta description as we know and have learned in the book. And then we'll also write our on-page content that includes our long tail keyword at least 3 times in the body content. So you will also want to organize your article so it's broken up into shorter paragraphs and rather than have long ones, and check that you have calls to action within the copy. So I'll show you what this looks like, but make sure you meet the criteria. The criteria is 300 words for the full assignment, and those 250 of those words need to be in your on-page content section. So what that means is that our off-page content is really the page title and meta description. So anything that the user is going to see on the page, that is where at least 250 of those 300 words need to come from. You'll use your long tail keyword 3 to 4 times on the page, and this is the grading rubric that will be used when grading your assignment. So if you haven't seen this rubric yet, go ahead and take a look. Essentially, it shows what organization needs to be, the level of content development, grammar and mechanics, style, and format. So all of these play into the grade that you receive on your assignment. All right, let's dive into the other part of the mini project. So what I want to focus on is that I have provided a real world example and also an outline for you to follow. So if I were approaching this, I would make sure that I have the brief open so I understand what the assignment is, and then I would review the real world example. This real world example is just an example. It was actually done for a client that is in the Flathead Valley, but this is something that if you're going to work for doing SEO optimization for clients, this is something that you'll use in the real world. So here's what we'll take a look at. This is essentially what will be turned in your document. So you can turn it in as a document or a PDF, but when we take a look at this, and if we do a word count on it, we can see that for total number of words is 363 words. If we are only looking at the copy that is on page content, then it's this section here. And we have 289 words. So that does meet the criteria of having at least 250 words in the on-page section. So we've been reading in the book about the page titles and also the meta descriptions. Remember that those are what shows up on the SERP. So if we look at this, for example, the long tail focus keyword on this is the reliable general contractor. So if we take this and look at it as a term, remember the metadata is what we're going to see on the search engine result page. So if we're looking like this, we're going to see what information comes up about reliable contractors in the Flathead Valley. And keep in mind again that this information is what you have. This is your title, and then this section down here is the meta description. So essentially it's your little ad that you have if you're trying to get people to click into your business. So in this example, this is the actual meta description that was developed for it. And if we're searching that term, you can see that it does turn up high on the search engine result page, just second after Yelp and the AI overview. So let's keep going with this. So what we look at for the rest of the page is we'd also need to create this on-page content. So what this is this section here, anything that's in brackets is just a functionality piece. So it's just showing that there would be a functionality piece within this page, and then this section here is really just about what the buttons would be. So as we start to digest this page, if you want to, you can just write this content that would be on the page. You don't have to do the calls to actions and buttons, but it is helpful for when you're starting to divide out your page. So if you wanted to take this and only write this text and this section and only the things that aren't in interactive pieces, that's not a problem. Just make sure that you go ahead and have it in like short, concise sentences as we would do for writing for web. When we're writing this content and the rest of the text for the page, make sure that we're using our long tail keyword at least 4 times within that copy. It's a good ratio to make sure that we're going to show up for the long tail keyword term. So in this example, our long tail keyword is this. It's the general contractor Kalispell. But when we actually went to put it into the title page and the meta description, we gave it a slight tweak. So it was actually reliable general contractor, because Kalispell, Montana is coming into this phrase right here. So if we're looking at general contractor Kalispell, it's covered right here. So we're giving it another qualifying term, which is reliable. So let's take a look at how we would use Moz to search our keywords. So if we're in Moz, which the link is also in the brief, it's this link right here. You don't need to log in. You can just go ahead and get started. Right here, what you're going to do is you're going to type in the term. So if I was looking at, remember when we were talking about contractor is just a head term. If I'm looking at a head term like contractor, I'd want to make sure that I have more information and data to look at. So I want to look at something like general contractor or reliable. So we're giving it like a term, right? We want to know if someone's reliable or not, and the best, or we want the best service. So when we start using these qualifying terms, these are ways that people rank. Just think of when we were going about our example with the Best Bagels New York. So I'm going to go ahead and run this just as is and see what my keyword strength is. This is something that we'll do in our project 1, but it's a good thing to get started on now, just understanding how it works. So what this is showing is that there's not really that much volume for it being searched in a month, and that more than likely the organic click-through rate is high. So that's great. It's a good term for us to be able to optimize for. So, and then when we look at the difficulty, if this is low, it means that we would more than likely rank in the top 10 spot for this term. Also below, we're going to see more information such as other keyword suggestions and if there are searches associated with those. Okay, let's take a look here. So if we were to just have a generic term like general contractor, excuse me, it's taking a minute to think. We can see that the difficulty of showing up for this is higher than our last one because essentially it's only 2 words, right? Or sorry, there's technically 3 words, but the first 2 are the term And then the last is the location. But we do know that if you are a contractor in Kalispell, you need to show up for whatever you are. So in this situation, and again, we'll get into this more in project 1, but I'm going to go ahead and use this term. Other ones that I could look at would be if I'm looking at builders, let's see, House Builders Kalispell. The difficulty of this is low, so it means that I more than likely would show up in the top 10. But however, the organic click-through rate is lower than what my first search was. So in that sense, I'm going to go with the first search that I had performed with the reliable general contractor. And again, this is the estimated percentage of clicks available to that would for our organic links. Essentially, what is the percentage of someone who would click on this link with it being that term? So the higher this is, the better it is. So our organic click-through rate, we want it to be high. So if someone's looking for House Builders Kalispell, it could have other meanings or other inputs behind it, other intents of why they're searching. So that's why when I do the reliable general contractor, more than likely someone's looking for a contractor that they want to use. Whereas House Builder Kalispell, maybe I'm writing a magazine article and I just want to highlight the house builders that are there. Or if it's not like very specific where it says like Custom Home Builders Kalispell, something like that, we'll see what the organic click-through rate is. And if it is higher, well, in this we've reached the limit here. If it is higher, then that's something we could also think about using. But don't get too hung up there. We can revisit. So I'm going to go back to my real world example. So since in this, the long tail keyword focus was this one. This was essentially the one that I chose. And these two, I noted them so I could talk about what kind of search volumes they had. So when we look at talking about near me type searches, this is very similar to just like your geolocation. So don't worry too much about this. You don't have to have this section. This is just more detailed for when we provided the client the write-up. Okay, so let's say you have your long tail keyword and you're ready to start building out your content. What you would want to do is come in here and copy this information. And copy this information and put it into a doc. Once you're in the doc, you can start writing out what is the web page name. This is going to be just the URL. Then you'd also put in your long tail keyword. So this is where the keyword that you focused on when we were in Moz, and you're getting information from Moz to put into your assignment. Then we take this long tail keyword and we would write it into the page title. Keep in mind that the page title, if my site is, let's say that it is Mini Muffins Kalispell, then if my long tail keyword is gluten-free muffins, then my page title would be Mini Muffins Kalispell - gluten-free muffins. And then I would also work in the Mini Muffins Kalispell gluten-free muffins into my meta description. Make sure that we focus on 165 characters, not necessary. Keep in mind this is not words, it's just characters. So when you go to the word counter and we're taking a look at this, if we go to Mini Muffins Kalispell, it's my page title. In this, I would need 20 more characters. So now what I would look at that is say maybe I'd do best gluten-free muffins. Let's see, on me, we're gonna go big. Best gluten-free muffins, Montana. We are close to the 65, but we haven't quite hit it. As long as you're within 10 characters, I'm fine with that. So for example, if we had less than 55, that wouldn't be okay, but this is an optimized title, so I would use this for the title. Then I would also use this content and say in my meta description, and I would write a little ad, essentially why people should click on your link on the SERP. So if in my example, this is my title, and I would go into my document and I would add that as the page title. And then I would write my meta description. After that, I would go ahead and go down below and start working on what content I should put on the page. So essentially we're writing SEO information for this mini project.